the world suddenly experienced a sudden change, and extraordinary creatures called monsters appeared everywhere, causing the world to teeter on the edge of extinction. These monsters drew their power from a mystical place known as the Tower, which granted them immense authority. Some called it the Tower of the Devil, while others named it the Tower of God. Legends spoke of the Tower as a realm where one's wildest dreams could come true, power, wealth, and glory, by overcoming its challenges. The Tower stood tall with 999 floors and was believed to be ruled by gods and demons. Despite the world government's warning to avoid the Tower, its allure proved irresistible. Those who interfered with the Tower's ascent faced 5 years of punishment from the gods and demons. As a result, billions of people became obsessed with observing the Tower, whether to conquer it or simply spectate. Our protagonist, Cha Jin-hyuk, felt a burning desire to etch his name in history by embarking on a journey to conquer the Tower's 600th floor. He braved hordes of monstrous creatures that caused explosive chaos. However, his path was obstructed by a group known as the Nine Stars. These individuals possessed magical and holy powers granted by the Tower, making them formidable opponents. Despite lacking superhuman abilities or weaponry, Cha Jin-hyuk, known as the Dark Star of Death, remained undeterred. He rose above all others and earned the title of the strongest individual. Cha Jin-hyuk commanded his subjects to rise and became the dominant necromancer, wielding necromantic magic and controlling the dead. He grew bored with peace and humanity, vowing to become even stronger and unleash the undead with the aid of the Nine Stars. However, the Nine Stars saw Cha Jin-hyuk as a traitor, aligning with devils and mobilized to kill him. In their battle, the Nine Stars overwhelmingly overpowered him. Unbeknownst to the world, the truth was far from the narrative presented. It was not Cha Jin-hyuk who had forsaken humanity, but rather 8 of the 9 stars who had betrayed him. This crucial information remained hidden from the public. A decade had passed since that betrayal, and now Cha Jin-hyuk found himself lying in a disheveled room, awakened by a dreadful nightmare. As he regained consciousness, Cha Jin-hyuk realized something had changed. His secret ability, soul transmission, had activated, allowing his soul to be transferred to a suitable body just before death. Miraculously, his soul had found a physical vessel similar to his own. Still residing in South Korea, Cha Jin-hyuk burned with resentment towards the 9 stars. He despised them for their betrayal, knowing he could have conquered the 600th floor on his own, yet they had sought his aid only to deceive him. Cha Jin-hyuk struggled to comprehend their motives. Saintess Carmen warned him that even with an army, he alone stood no chance against the 9 stars. Cha Jin-hyuk insisted he had only intended to assist. Paladin, one of the 9 stars, explained to Cha Jin-hyuk that the betrayal was not personal but rather a way of removing the weeds. His sinister expression and words fueled Cha Jin-hyuk's anger. Cha Jin-hyuk sought answers from Choi Kyung-hoon, the star of combat, who stood by their side. Choi Kyung-hoon declared his decision not to participate in the tower's ascent, and Cha Jin-hyuk knew he could rely on his support. However, blood loss clouded his vision, signaling his imminent death. Despite this, Cha Jin-hyuk believed it was not the end. He held on to the conviction that he would grow stronger and exact revenge on those treacherous traitors who had brought him to this state. While contemplating his past and the fate of the betrayers, Cha Jin-hyuk was interrupted by a surprising phone call. It had been years since he last used a phone, and he was taken aback. Glancing at the phone, he realized it was already 2023, a decade since his rebirth. At that moment, he pondered the skills bestowed upon him in his new body and wondered if he could still wield the abilities he possessed in his previous life. To find out, he tested his powers on a fly, but despite repeated attempts, he failed to cast the spell he once knew. Opening the window, Cha Jin-hyuk contemplated climbing the tower without any special abilities. He discovered that Choi Kyung-hoon had reached the 800th floor, presenting an opportunity for revenge. The 9 stars had only progressed 200 floors in 10 years, giving him a chance to catch up and seek retribution while they climbed in secrecy. Cha Jin-hyuk acknowledged that any training outside the tower would be futile. It was time to ascend. Despite possessing a body that was no more advanced than a beginner's, he held the knowledge of the Death Star and his past self. With this knowledge, he could evolve rapidly. Excitement surged through Cha Jin-hyuk as he cursed the 9 stars and vowed to make them dance to his tune. In Seoul, Cha Jin-hyuk overheard conversations about conquering the tower and gaining wealth. Despite the risks, he understood that the tower was a place where dreams and human stories intertwined. He was determined to make everyone aware of his presence. When the tower's entrance opened at 1 p.m., people around him rushed inside. This was the moment his revenge would commence. As Cha Jin-hyuk entered the tower, he found himself in the tutorial area, a challenging starting point for newcomers. This section was notorious for its traps and demanded continuous running for days. The first 10 floors were particularly known for their absurd difficulty. A notification appeared, instructing Cha Jin-hyuk to reach his destination while avoiding the traps. It mentioned a bonus. Any damage he took would be healed upon reaching the destination or returning to the starting point. Before starting his journey, Cha Jin-hyuk checked his stats and was disappointed to find them incredibly poor. Traits like gluttony and monotype indicated that his current body was different from his past life. Despite this setback, he resolved to survive the tutorial and overcome any obstacles he faced. Without wasting any time, Cha Jin-hyuk began his quest, and notifications appeared indicating that the magical traps were activated. Initially confident in his knowledge of the traps, he soon became nervous as arrows flew toward him. Despite getting injured, he couldn't afford to stop. He pressed on, enduring the pain, but eventually returned to the starting area for healing. Getting back on his feet, Cha Jin-hyuk realized that mindlessly running forward wouldn't work. He recognized the value of his skills, especially gluttony, which allowed him to claim objects as his own and gain resistance to adverse effects by absorbing his own blood. Knowing that the tutorial would take about a week to complete, Cha Jin-hyuk understood that enduring the arrows was his only chance of survival and progress. With determination, he relied on his gluttony skill to evolve. After a grueling month, Cha Jin-hyuk successfully executed his plan and cleared the tutorial. He noticed demons and gods taking an interest in his method. Looking up at the sky, he understood that these sadistic beings were observing him. Knowing that gods and demons sought individuals similar to themselves, Cha Jin-hyuk refrained from provoking them. However, some gods were angered by his comments. Cha Jin-hyuk was aware that the divine beings would never reveal their true names and that they planned to make him their disciple. Despite the disapproval of the gods, a message revealed that a demon named Peak of All Evil, also known as Baal, was interested in him. Cha Jin-hyuk had mixed feelings about Baal, but thanked him for the soul transmission. Soon, Cha Jin-hyuk received more messages from demons and gods showing their interest in him. Overwhelmed, he blamed Baal and started to scream. Surprisingly, Baal apologized. Various sides expressed their interest in engaging in a conversation with Cha Jin-hyuk, but he asked to be left alone, making it clear that he wouldn't choose Baal. Suddenly, Cha Jin-hyuk remembered that he was supposed to receive rewards for completing the tutorial and wondered what they might be. He received all the experience points he had earned through blood loss, granting him resistance to blood loss and other forms of damage, as well as increased resistance to losing consciousness. Despite being in the tutorial level, Cha Jin-hyuk was able to increase his mana levels as a mana-type individual. As he contemplated his progress, a peculiar message arrived, informing him that he had unlocked a new trait due to his growth. Curious, he discovered it was the trait covered in question marks, possessed by the previous body's owner. Cha Jin-hyuk unlocked it and acquired the all-rounder trait. Curious about his new trait, Cha Jin-hyuk read its description. The all-rounder trait allowed him to excel in almost every aspect, activating during training and combat according to his skill level. Excited by this newfound ability, Cha Jin-hyuk realized it could help him become the best at everything, a true all-master. Suddenly, Baal appeared and grew curious about Cha Jin-hyuk's status window. Cha Jin-hyuk declined the invitation and requested not to be bothered, but he still extended an offer for Baal to accompany him to the next floor and observe. Baal decided to follow Cha Jin-hyuk's lead. Upon entering the portal, Cha Jin-hyuk found himself in a room filled with choices, allowing him to select the most suitable class for himself. Recalling his past life as a monotype, Cha Jin-hyuk chose the path of a mage due to his nature. However, Influenced by his new trait, he also decided to explore other weapon options. He grabbed a bow and requested some targets to test his newfound abilities. Shooting 3 arrows at the targets, he effortlessly destroyed them. He then asked the room to create more targets, including ones that could counterattack. Ignoring the system's warning about not choosing a class yet, Cha Jin-hyuk continued engaging with the targets. The training dummies started charging toward him, but he swiftly dispatched them with his bow and arrow, showcasing exceptional skill. When he felt overwhelmed, he switched to a sword, facing the increasing difficulty with unwavering determination. To further challenge himself, he even wielded a spear and a pair of daggers. Suddenly, ranged attackers emerged, and Cha Jin-hyuk quickly sought shelter behind a shield, recognizing them as the most dangerous targets on this floor. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Cha Jin-hyuk decided to utilize his specialty, a magic staff. He conjured a magical arrow aimed directly at the targets. With his newfound skills, it felt as if he had been using the staff for a lifetime. At that moment, Cha Jin-hyuk achieved a significant milestone, earning the title of All-Master. To attain this achievement, he had to wield at least one weapon of each type in the training selection room. Additionally, his attack stat received a boost of 5,000. Recognizing the potential of the class, Cha Jin-hyuk contemplated choosing his next class. However, he hesitated to relinquish the advantage of his previous mage class from his past life. Understanding that he should remain a mage, he requested the system to select the All-Master class as his subclass. Unfortunately, the system informed him that this was not possible until he reached the required floor, which left Cha Jin-hyuk upset as he had forgotten about this system requirement. Not making a choice now meant he wouldn't be able to leave the room. He pondered the possibility of using his achievement points. Cha Jin-hyuk inquired whether he could unlock a subclass slot using his achievement points. Though the system couldn't comprehend how the newcomer possessed such information, it was clear that Cha Jin-hyuk was aware of the achievement points and their value as currency for specific accomplishments. Cha Jin-hyuk advised the system to stop questioning how he knew and once again requested the subclass slot in exchange for 5,000 points. Cunningly, the system stated that Cha Jin-hyuk needed 5,050 points instead. It became apparent to Cha Jin-hyuk that he had run out of options. In a final attempt, Cha Jin-hyuk revealed to the system that Baal had disclosed his identity, wondering if conversations with Baal could earn him achievement points. Surprisingly, the system immediately granted Cha Jin-hyuk an achievement called the Peak of All Evil, awarding him 200 achievement points. Baal blushed, wondering if he had done well, but Cha Jin-hyuk found himself disgusted. Despite the mixed response, the system asked Cha Jin-hyuk if he wanted to use his achievement points to select the All-Master as his subclass. Cha Jin-hyuk agreed, finally obtaining what he desired. Abruptly, the system informed him that upon the destruction of the current room, he would be instantly transported to the first floor of the tower, marking the beginning of Cha Jin-hyuk's revenge. Striking the floor with his staff, Cha Jin-hyuk triggered an immediate transition to the first floor. The first floor of the tower was known as the Coral Forest, a challenging place frequently visited by kobolds. As the newbies trembled in fear, a kobold charged toward them. Suddenly, a crack appeared in the night sky, and Cha Jin-hyuk emerged from it. Recognizing the kobold as his first prey, Cha Jin-hyuk seized the opportunity and swiftly dispatched the kobold with a dropkick. Surveying the area, he noticed more monsters and wondered what he would gain by devouring them. If you're interested, let us know if you want to watch the next part.